28 days ago, I had just $24 in my bank account, so I challenged myself to go from 0 to 5K in my creative business from scratch, but I didn't want to abandon the joy, the authenticity, and the playfulness that I had been embodying throughout this whole journey of building my business. I didn't want to go ultra salesy, ultra just get the work done. I wanted to find my authentic blueprint to success, so I experimented and I did exactly that. Today, I want to break down what happened in the last 28 days, the goals that we achieved, what worked, what didn't work, and what I want to share with you so that hopefully you can find success in your creative business too. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. So if you're new here, my name's Kev. I'm a recovering perfectionist, but I'm also a little bit of a cowboy, architectural designer, and I love surfing. It's a huge part of my life. So these are all the experiments, the frameworks, the insights that are helping me scale my business so that hopefully you can be inspired to implement some of these and do the same as well. So it's been a crazy 28 days. It's episode 16, the big finale. So what I want to share with you is everything I made this month, what worked to bring in cash, what didn't get results, some of my biggest breakthroughs, and maybe some musings at the end. We'll see. So let's do an overview of all the wild creations of my mind that I got paid to bring into this world. Except I think the first one is, oh no, just kidding. I thought I had a random sculpture. Oh, I did have a random sculpture that I made that on the beach one night. Just kind of a fun way. I made it it was the night I decided to do this experiment, and I created this sculpture out of driftwood on the beach, very impermanent, but that was kind of part of this, so I'm sharing it. So this is my shop. I do lots of metal fabrication, custom design, fabrication of architectural elements and furniture and all these types of things. I built all these brackets for a custom bar that was going to become, some large scale something for a restaurant. I built this kind of custom railing system for a client that had a nice sliding rolling gate component that looked really cherry, fun little details. Some examples of what it's like to be in my workspace, how I feel so free when I'm in there, and it's such a beautiful landscape that's so dynamic. It's foggy, it's sunny, it's this, it's that. I feel really comfortable to be myself in there. I designed this stainless steel truck rack, installed it, it looks great. I started working on this outdoor sort of planter partition bench combo, only to the sketches. Started a new business. We're at the very, very beginning phases, but we're doing a mobile sauna business. Super excited about that. Designed yet another handrail system that I'm in the process of building today. Started filming for and designing this course, this program, this self-study toolkit, the Embodied Creator Toolkit, that helps ambitious creatives cultivate confidence, connection, and deeper sense of purpose in their creative business. So those are things that I've been working on this month. Feels amazing. Now let's talk about the cash, baby. So this is where I started off, just so you guys know. $0 in the bank, or $0 in my account, $24 in my bank account, and then it slowly started to pour in with trust, commitment, and just opening my heart through the struggle and the adversity, because it's so important to not close off. You have to stay grounded, embodied, and welcoming all the emotions. I was certainly like, holy shit, what's gonna happen? But also knowing how can I move knowing that it's going to work out? What would I do if I knew it was all gonna work out? What are the steps I'm gonna take? What's the feeling I'm going to embody? So $1,000 here, $500 there, $600 here, $3,500 there. So our goal was 5K, and we smashed that. I got to $5,750, which was wild, setting this goal. You don't know if you're gonna hit it or not, and part of you almost wishes that you didn't, to validate that oh, it didn't work out, it wasn't good enough, whatever. But I'm super proud that I was able to get that much in the door, and now even more is still pouring in for the next month. So pretty wild to be able to smash that goal. So now let's talk about what worked. Actually marketing myself. So feeling confident promoting my offer. I'll talk more about this at the end, but it's really kind of a silly, subtle paradox, you know? Marketing. We know that's what works, but what prevents us from marketing is a really, really fascinating question to ask. And I think every creative struggles with this, of what's the line of putting yourself out there and being confident in promoting yourself, because we all have so much shame around showing up in that way, offering something for sale. Here's how I can help you. Pick me, pay me. We have a really hard relationship with that. And in my eyes, it's all about shame. So I want to dive in that later, but now I just want to talk about the actual marketing strategy. So I think that Nextdoor is an absolute goldmine, and I'll explain exactly why. So for me, I'm a local one-person business. I also do a little online work. I've done coaching and consulting, which I didn't include at the beginning of this, but I did have a coaching client at the beginning that closed the container about 10 days in. It's a different story. Didn't make any revenue this month from that, but I do offer that as a service. But as far as my local design and fabrication goes, it is in a small little town, and on my Nextdoor, the Nextdoor account for the town, I have 586 neighbors. That's crazy, you know? And now there's other neighbors nearby, like there's towns that are near my town within 10, 20 miles. But I just started posting on Nextdoor stories about what I've done, what I'm working on, that are from the approach of just sharing who I am as a person, more authentically me, just showing what I'm up to in this community, because it's something that's interesting and different for people and they don't know what's going on, and it's a good way to get who I am out into the world and also provide potential service. So I share stories, I share what I build, but then I also will throw in posts that are more inclined to get signals of interest. So I wanted to design and build some handrails because they're good money, I love doing them, I think they're really sexy. So posted this, need a handsome handrail, I'll be darned, it functions as good as it looks, follow the link, you know. 4 people liked it. 3 people commented, the other 3 are mine. 4 likes, but this brought in $4,000. So that was like an immediate, whoa, this works. Out of the 500 people in my community that are on Nextdoor, 4 people liked this and it brought in $4,000. Something is here. So I started doubling down on what works. And then I did more storytelling and more talking about the process of designing and building a handrail and how I love the shadows that they create because I make these really minimal forms. And then at the end of the post, I'll plug a link to my website where it's a brief landing page, sales page with a form that people can fill out. So it's not directly call me, book now. It's fill out this form to join the waitlist and see, just so I know what you're looking for. So this post got seen by 757 people, but it converted 2 form submissions, one of which brought in $8,000 in revenue. Now only $3,500 I received in May, so I'm only gonna count that for May, but roughly that's $10.56 I got paid per person that saw this post, if I want to break it down that way. So why is Nextdoor a goldmine? It's a direct channel to market. It's a free resource that I can use. It's typically higher net worth users. So in my community, it's mostly older people who are homeowners who have lived their whole life accumulating wealth. And I provide a service that's not only like architectural and beautiful, but it's also a necessity. People need handrails as far as code goes. There needs to be handrails on stairs, on ramps, all those things. But also old people need handrails just for support and safety. So it's kind of this win-win where I'm able to have a unique position in the market, it's needed, and I'm getting in front of the eyes of the net worth individuals, the individuals with the net worth that wouldn't bat an eye at investing $8K into a project like that. Pretty amazing. So nobody actually shows up authentically as a service provider here either. Most people that use Nextdoor are either old people complaining about community things or people that are posting very ad-like posts like, I'm the best handyman around. If you need this, book a call. And there's so much opportunity to use it like a social media platform and open up a different story. So another great aspect is that the algorithm shows the post to everyone in your neighborhood that happens to log on during that time during the day. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't curate posts to only be shown to certain people. This was posted in my town, let's show it to the people in my town. So I know that every time I post, most people in my community and the surrounding communities are going to see exactly what I posted. So that's pretty remarkable. Say if I got 700 views, most of them actually get 1,000, so for like the lack of a better term, let's just use 1,000. If I posted every day and I got 1,000 views per post, or let's say I posted 3 times a week, 1,000 views per post, that's 3,000 per week times 4 weeks, that's 12,000 views I'm getting to the same customers actually every single month for free. Now that's pretty wild if you think about it. So that's why I think Nextdoor is a gold mine. The bulk of my revenue came from experimenting with this, so I'm gonna double down because I'm a local service provider. I'm gonna keep doubling down on that. Now I wanna share what didn't work. This is a whole different aspect of my business, but I wanna dive into this because it's also really important for the entirety of this experiment. So what prompted this was I wanted to create a program that I would deliver live that would help ambitious creatives, people just like me, really do that emotional and mindset work to get in the right state so that they can confidently get their work out into the world and really have an impact. Because the outer is just a reflection of the inner, and getting in that emotional connection is really, really important for scaling any creative business. And it's what I've seen a lot of work in. So what didn't work was this launch. It was Creative Clarity was the name, and essentially I wanted to guide a small group of people into really reconnecting to their creativity so they can find deeper clarity and just embody the joy, the authenticity that they know they need to embody in order to feel confident in getting their work out into the world. So I wrote this whole sales page, I marketed it, there's so much involved here that I won't share. But I thought it was a pretty solid sales page, for lack of a better term, but it flopped. It didn't get anyone to sign up. It got a lot of interest. So many people viewed this site, but it didn't get any interest. And my reflections were that my copy was nice to have, not, oh, I need to have this. I took a really sort of confident but spacious approach to the sales and copywriting of this, where I didn't want to really drive home that people need this. I just wanted to make a gentle case for how this could help you. And it proved out that that wasn't enough to convert people. It got a lot of interest, but because it didn't feel like that must have, nobody enrolled. Now there was this whole other aspect of me emotionally that was operating in this state of scarcity of not feeling good enough and already expecting this thing to fail. That's a different story that I'll open up in another video at some point, but there's a turkey walking outside my door. This essentially showed me where I can be more confident in my copywriting and really be more embodied in what transformation I can offer and really speaking more strongly to that. It's giving myself permission to step up and to be strong in the way that I relate to people and to highlight where people might be struggling, and not to like twist the knife, but to really position my offer and my ability to create an impact and transformation in their life through that pain point, through the copywriting. So I learned so much. I'm so grateful that this flopped because it just revealed a lot about myself where I can become more free. And yeah, so that was something that didn't work. And I'm really, really grateful for that experience. And now I know how to repackage that and offer it in a way that's much more strong. And I'm actually working on exactly that with a digital product called the Embodied Creator Toolkit, where it's going to be a self-study instead of a live. I'm taking all of the market research that I did and all of the outlining of that course and compartmentalizing it into a pre-recorded self-study program with a community aspect. It's almost ready. I've been slow, but just stay with me here. So let me get back to where we were. That's what didn't work. Now I want to talk about some big breakthroughs that I had. So I mentioned earlier about shame in marketing, and this was one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had in my creative business. So the degree that I feel confident promoting myself is inextricably linked to the amount of shame I hold in my system. I.e., if I hold shame in my system, that's preventing me from feeling really like shoulders up, open, and expansive to promoting myself, I'm not going to market myself, or I'm not just gonna I'm not gonna energetically align with the right clients. So the stories that were going on with me was, I'm not good enough, oh, people won't like what I have to offer, I don't want to feel salesy, and oh, it's safer just to play small and be right about why things aren't working out. Be right about, man, I don't have any projects because I'm not confident enough to market myself. So the real objective is not to transcend these stories, fears, and emotions, but I found to really sit with them, to accept them, to feel them, because inside of these, there's just emotions that we're not looking at. So when I feel them fully, when I feel that shame, well, instead of distracting myself and just doing this and doing that, not really sitting with the shame, what if I just felt that in my body for a little bit and maybe acknowledged where it's coming from? Then I can question the validity of those stories, acknowledging that that shame feels real, but I can question the truth of the story that's supporting it. Because oftentimes, feelings are just shitty indicators of truth, but feelings are very real, right? So we have to use what's real to uncover what may or may not be true. So when I arrive at the story that says I'm not good enough, I can immediately recognize that's completely false. What evidence is that? I was not born with the stamp that says I'm not good enough. So I can create a new story, and it's going to be difficult, but I can create a new story that expands my self-concept. So funny enough, this was the exact process that I was trying to lead in creative clarity, but life wanted to give me a more personal journey of integrating that deeper in my own self before facilitating that. So that's why there's this kind of irony and this paradox in this whole process and experiment, especially the experiment of doing this 28-day challenge here. So another great breakthrough is uncertainty. It's your greatest ally. So trust combined with really aligning your narrative with the growth that you seek, and cultivating that trust to take the next step with this, what feels most clear to you right now, that's true expansion. But there's a lot of uncertainty in that. So I had $24 in my bank account for the first week of this experiment, but I knew all the little things that were transpiring that I had to do, that were slowly starting to work. I didn't work 12 hours a day. I didn't force myself to go hustle and achieve and all those things. I did my high leverage tasks like writing those posts on Nextdoor and having the conversations in my community, showing up the places where I tend to relate and interact with the people that are important to know, that are doing the work that I can help with. But I just lived as if it were already here. I still took my lover out on a date, even though I spent my last $100 or whatever. I still did things that nourished me, and I surfed and played and all those things. So life met me in the trust that I was cultivating and leading with a big project, with that 8K project just kind of coming out of nowhere, even though I made the circumstances for that to attract and magnetize to me. But that was still so much of me trusting uncertainty, because I'm only in charge of what's right here, right in front of me right now. Life controls all of circumstance, which I can't control. So I just have to focus on controlling me, the way that I'm relating to my life, and life will focus on taking care of everything else, So I create the way that I relate to things. I create the systems that can be in place for me to receive. And then life, by some crazy divine order, will meet me there. I have a big surface area for luck. When I show up, I market myself and I trust. So you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust that subtle feeling in your body that always, and I literally mean always, knows what to do next. The only caveat is that feeling might be call your mom, go surfing, or just fuck it, post that post, It can be subtle, or it can be big, like you need to drive here, show up, knock on this guy's door, and ask him for work, whatever it is. I did that plenty of times where I literally met someone at the coffee shop, and I was like, hey, you wouldn't happen to have any work that involves X, Y, and Z, would you? To someone that would be in the general category. And more than half the time, people are like, you know what, I actually do. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Or like, yeah, let's talk about it right now. You just have to feel confident enough to say how you can help and how you can serve and what you can give. It's not what you can get, it's what you can give. And then you have to trust that life is gonna meet you there. And then another huge insight is the more you, capital U, that you are, the more you magnetize better clients. So authenticity is your birthright. There's nothing else that you need to be other than fully you. So you don't need to follow every other successful person's blueprint. Yes, it's helpful, but at the end of the day, you have to experiment with all of those strategies to find what authentically feels nourishing to you. So if your process is not pleasurable, it's not going to be sustainable. So many people try to sustain this process that's just like grinding and unfulfilling, and for some people that might be fulfilling. But for the bulk of people that are creative and business owners, that might not be you. So don't get stuck in the trap of needing to be a hustle bro, a this, a that, the other, in order to be successful, because that might be repelling more of the work, the clientele, and the impact that you're trying to have. So if you abandon an authentic part of yourself in the name of making more money, getting more clients, or making more progress, ask yourself, what else might I be abandoning that actually might be crucial for my long-term success? Because if you're not playing the long game, you're always going to operate from a state of lack and should, and that's not your highest timeline. So reframe your shoulds into wants. Everywhere you use the phrase I should, you need to reframe that into I want or I desire, because should essentially is just shaming yourself. It's creating separation from fully being right here and right now, because it's avoidance, right? It's not accepting reality, it's wishing it were different, which is the surefire and guaranteed way to never have what you want. So feel the feeling you're avoiding. I can't stress this enough. If you aren't as successful as you want to be, you aren't making the money that you want, or you don't feel the freedom that you yearn for, maybe you need to really tap into the frustration, anger, and sadness that you aren't fully allowing yourself to feel, because maybe they have something to show you and teach you that you're not looking at. So the emotion tends to free up the space inside of your system where you can become more of the person who is capable, ready, and willing to hold capacity for the desire that you want to bring in. So your best version fully expresses your emotions. So own your desires, as wild as they might be, even though I know it's scary. There's probably a lot of shame around that too. I know I felt it, but it's the only path to living in alignment with your desires. Embody your desires no matter how silly, petty, basic, snooty, spiritual, XYZ, whatever they are, you have to fully own it. If you want something that is materialistic and cliche, that's okay. What's gonna help you get there is to fully embody that. Shame around, I don't know if I should really be confident about this desire, do I really want that? That's never gonna help you get there. So it doesn't matter what your desire is. Hopefully it's for the good of yourself and humanity, but you have to really own it, you know? And I can't express that just that simple reframe can radically translate where you are now to where you want to be, because you're no longer avoiding all of these feelings. You're completely embracing and accepting, which is paradoxically the ripe conditions to create more of the life that you want. So this has been my journey from 0 to 5.7K in just 28 days. I did it, and I know that you can too. So if you guys are interested, follow along. I'm going to be sharing more. I'm going to pivot this into a new journey, 0 to 100K in just 1 year. I want to set that goal for myself. I want to think bigger, and I encourage you all to think and play bigger as well. And I think with these reframes and breakthrough insights that you can really start to re-relate how you are doing business, are expressing your creativity, and having an impact in the world while making good money from it. That's the goal that I hope that you guys could glean from this experiment. So I'm so grateful that you all are here. You've stayed tuned through it all. And if you're new here, go back, check out the first episode, and you can see for yourself how I literally went from $24 to 5.7K in this short time. So I'm super grateful for you all. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in whatever the next creations might be. But until then, be well. Ciao.